Reapers are scythes and scythes are reapers. Today we're going to go through all the reapers in Elden Ring, their strengths, their weaknesses, rank them from worst to best, and some other stuff. Let's go. Let me know what weapon class you would like me to do next. Also, this video is going to be slightly different to the normal ranked videos we do. I'm only going to do one specific weapon type, and we're going to do a bit more general, like overview kind of tips, kind of stuff as well in here. So let me know what you think of this new format, and we might continue it. So the Reaper itself has a very long reach and a pretty unique, like sweeping moveset that can clip multiple enemies. It's also unique in the way that it will do a percentage of damage through shield. So when enemies are blocking, you can actually still hit them through that with Reapers. It won't do full damage. I think it's like 40% or something of the damage will get through. So they're really unique in that way as well. All the Reapers also have blood loss built up natively, and you've got a fair few different kind of build options that you can roughly play around with the Reapers. So you could go like a single Reaper in one hand or two-handed and make some sort of a strength build, which we'll talk about different variations on builds as we get to the specific Reapers, but you can two-hand it in some sort of a strength build. You could one-hand a Reaper, like one of the Faith Reapers, make some kind of like Faith Blade, Spellbladey build, but I don't think that that's really the best way to play with the Reapers because of their weird moveset, and they're really, you either want to two-hand a Reaper or have two Reapers and power stance them and focus on, say, jump attacks and like status effects in some kind of dexterity based build. So let's get into those Reapers. We'll start with the worst one on this list, and that is the Halo Scythe. The Halo Scythe has the default moveset for the Reapers. It is the second heaviest Reaper, and it has a pretty high physical damage, not the highest, but a solid physical damage with some minimal holy damage. Its damage is really split between those two different types. You can't change the Ash of War on the Halo Scythe, and it comes with Miquella's Ring of Light, which is like a holy attack that will swing the scythe like around, and the damage will like zoom out and attack enemies, similar to like Sacred Wave or something like that. This is spammable, so you can just like hold this down and just like constantly like cast it out. It's a solid skill with some decent ranged, especially if you are using a scythe and you want some sort of a ranged option. It does have decent enough range that you could definitely use this weapon for that attack. The Ash of War only does holy damage, so it doesn't actually scale with any kind of physical, and holy damage isn't the best in the game. It does struggle the further you get into the game. There's lots of enemies with holy resistance, but it is a solid scythe, and you could definitely make some kind of like Faith Blade weapon build kind of thing with it, but I personally wouldn't, because there is a better scythe on this list that even scales with Faith, and that is the Winged Scythe, which is what we're going to talk about right now. Now, the Winged Scythe does scale with Strength, Dex, and Faith, the same as the Halo, except it does more holy damage than physical in terms of its like balancing out of attack rating. Its holy damage is much higher than the Halo Scythe. You get this trade-off with the Winged Scythe in that it doesn't have the same kind of ranged capabilities of the Halo Scythe. Angel Wings, its Ash of War, is pretty solid. It's the same animation as Lorita's Slash, however, it will stop enemies from being able to use like Flask of Tears to be able to heal. So say, you know, in PvP, there's a lot of value to that ability. This is the lightest of the fourth scythes. It also has the highest attack rating overall with that physical and holy damage. It's got decent Faith, Dex, and Strength scaling across the board, so it's much better overall than the Halo Scythe. It just doesn't have that same kind of quality Ash of War. While the Angel Wings isn't bad, it's got a long animation time. It does more holy damage than physical. It would probably be better if it did more physical in terms of your raw damage potential. It's also the shortest of the Reapers, so it's not got that going for it either. Highest damage but shortest reach, and you could definitely do some sort of a dual wield build with these two Faith scythes, right? You could do something with the Wing Scythe and the Halo Scythe and wield them both. Then you've got the ranged option of the Halo Scythe, or like a close range option with the Angel Wings Ash of War. Definitely something you could do there, but I probably wouldn't be choosing that if I was making some sort of a scythe build. There's definitely better builds that you could do, but both of these scythes and some sort of Faith build you could definitely do using some sort of incantation in that regard. The Scythe itself is next. Now, the Scythe has a unique R2 when charged. You can actually hit enemies twice. This only scales with Strength and Dex, and it does physical damage by default. It has the same weight as the Winged Scythe as well, so it's a great scythe if you're looking to do some sort of a dual wield build because of how light it is. The downside though is that it is the lowest damage of all of the scythes, but because it does scale better with Dex, it fits better into a dual wield build with both of these scythes. Like if you were going to use two scythes, or even use this as an offhand to one of like the Faith size that we were talking about earlier, something like that. A lot of flexibility in how you want to use this scythe, but definitely in some sort of a dex build, preferably because of the way that it scales. You can change the Ash of War on the scythe, which is probably the best thing that it has going for it. There are plenty of different options that you can choose from. Something like Black Flame Tornado is like one of my favorite Ash of Wars that you could absolutely use for this kind of a weapon. It's got the blood loss build up on it natively, so what you could do, and same for the other scythe that we're about to talk about after this, is you could add something to that with like a different status effect and have two status effects on the scythe itself. So say blood and frost or blood and poison, something like that. Definitely flexibility that you could do there. Spinning slash isn't terrible either. The Ash of War it does come with, but I would be looking to replace it with something with a bit more variables and flexibility in terms of its overall use. But the scythe itself is quite solid because of its flexibility into whether you would want a two-handed or single-handed or use it in some sort of dex-focused dual wielding build is probably where the scythe shines the most. If you were dual wielding two scythes, because of their dex scaling, you can make a dex build using that. However, you could use one of the other scythes as well, as if you aren't in New Game Plus, you can only get one of these scythes like per run, so you would have to dual wield it with one of the other scythes like the Grave Scythe or something like that, but you absolutely can do that. And speaking of the Grave Scythe, that is the scythe we're about to talk about right now. So the scythe and the Grave Scythe are similar in a lot of regards. The main difference is that the Grave Scythe scales better with strength, whereas the scythe scales better with dex. The Grave Scythe does have the standard moveset. It only scales with physical damage initially. It's also the heaviest of the Reapers, and it's the second longest of the Reapers. Now, all of this plus the strength scaling makes this scythe perfect for a two-handing build where you were just going to two-hand this scythe. It does have a higher damage than the standard scythe, and it's almost as much as the unique scythes that we talked about earlier, the Halo and the Winged Scythe. Now, because of that extra strength scaling, two-handing it and making some build focused on that and getting that extra damage you get from two-handing a weapon is definitely the way that you would most likely play with the Grave Scythe. You could dual wield it in some sort of a build, but it's definitely, its strength comes from that two-handing as well as the ability that you can change the Ash of War on it. So it comes with the Spinning Slash, the same as the other, but you can definitely change this into something else. Something unique about the Grave Scythe is that it also increases your vitality, so like your Death Blight resistance as well. Changing the Ash of War to something a bit more valuable like Black Flame Tornado or Flaming Strike, or really anything that you can put on this weapon, as it does have plenty of options to it that you could add to this weapon and make some sort of a two-handed strength focused build, will see you doing a decent amount of damage because of its really solid physical damage, or even adding some other different effects or status effect onto it if you did want to choose to go that route. However, I would suggest to stick with that one type, potentially making it a heavy weapon, leaning into its strength scaling even more, while even using some sort of blood loss buildup because it's already on the weapon, wearing the white mask or the blood loss talisman to increase damage with blood loss. It's definitely something you could do there, and this weapon has a lot of flexibility into how you could essentially build this out as like a big two-handed option rather than like the usual two-handed swords that you see with most people use. That is all of the scythes in Elden Ring. Let me know which scythe is your favorite in the comments down below and what weapon you would like me to do next. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.